Thank all of you for listening to me and encouraging me yesterday. My son is doing fine. There were reasons why it happened. The epileptic seizure, lack of sleep. He was working. He did not intake enough water. And then when he went back and looked today, because it takes him about 12 hours to think clearly, it looks like he missed a couple of pills, which, I had that discussion with him. He hadn't had a seizure in 7 years. I didn't realize it had been that long. So there was human error involved, and there is a quick fix, which is doing what he should be doing. But some good things came out of it. We had a discussion about in the future, if he knows he has that anxiety feeling again, to sit down on the floor or lay down on the floor in the middle of a room, the middle of a hallway, make sure objects aren't around him, because it'll be there within 2 to 5 minutes. So there is a warning, which is a gift, because not everybody gets warnings. Not all epileptic people get warnings for their seizures. So, it ended up being fine. My better half is doing fantastic after the surgery that he had on Monday. He had a pacemaker / defibrillator put in, which at first I just thought it was a defibrillator when they mentioned it, where it shocks you. If your heart rate dives, you have a heart attack. But it's really a pacemaker. It's like the Cadillac pacemakers with an addition defibrillator attachment. So it helps to regulate his heart and also shock him if he were to crash. Both of my grandfathers had pacemakers, and that is not, their hearts are not what ended up killing them. One of them, it was old age, and the other one, it was Parkinson's disease. So actually the pacemakers helped them live longer, healthier, more active lives. So to clarify, again, I've stated in a previous video, there are good things in the medical field for major things that you need. But be very careful on the minor things that are not necessary. And I won't go into that any further. But one thing I did want to reiterate, years ago, I put on this channel 3 parts to a story about the near-death experience that my son had at the age of 8 after the car accident. And it's pretty profound. And there's nothing to explain it except for the supernatural, which is factual. And that's the gift I was given back in 2003. Now, it takes a lot of time and maturity to process that, on how profound it was. But it was a gift in all the tragedy that gave me the basis to know that our Creator is there, and He is listening. And sometimes He answers in the most profound ways. But also know that when He doesn't seem to answer, He is answering you. It just might not be in the way that you want it. Because we are limited as humans in our understanding. And for somebody who strives to research and the education I have behind me, and it's hard to concede that He does know better. And then you also have to take into account that this life here is not the whole picture. It's not everything. So sometimes decisions and things that happen here don't seem to make sense. But I think in the whole picture, it makes sense for you, your soul, spiritually, and your lifetime, your eternity that you're going to live, that happens elsewhere also, not just here. But what happened in 2003 is I had 2 sons. I'm going to try and shorten it as much as possible. It's a long story, and it was traumatizing, and it's how I ended up with post-traumatic stress disorder. First, I'm going to tell you that I sensed that something was wrong, and I called my ex-husband. And the phone did pick up, but I don't know how it picked up because he didn't answer the phone. His phone picked up, and I heard everything that was going on in the accident. The ambulance, the hearing my children. Zach was talking, the second one. My oldest one was not talking, and blood was coming from his nose. I could hear what was being said. That was a nightmare in itself, but I knew that there was an accident because I was listening to on a phone that wasn't picked up. I don't know how. And I hung up the phone, and I called my friend and told her what was happening and to let my job know and everything. I hung up the phone, got in the car, and went to the hospital. And then I realized where the accident was located. They could have been going to a different hospital. When I got to the hospital, they called on dispatch and made sure that they were en route to that hospital. I was at the hospital before they were, before my children were. I saw them get off the ambulance. I saw Christian, my oldest one, vomiting blood. I saw all of it. I rode with him to the oldest one to the hospital. The youngest one did not show up till 3 days later because they discovered he had a problem also. We rode to New Orleans Children's Hospital in the ambulance because they finally got him stabilized. I had 5 doctors to tell me at the original hospital we were at that he was not going to make it. After going in there and talking to him, which they did not want me to do, and asking him to hang on, somehow he stabilized. And we rode to the hospital in the ambulance together. And I suctioned his blood as he vomited. The ambulance driver initially said not to, that was his job, but then he backed off because I said, you let me do what I can do while I can, because my son might not make it, and you and I both know that. And then nothing else was said. We stayed there. He was in a coma, the oldest one. I knew it was bad. It was really bad. Even if he were to live, he might be a vegetable stuck in a wheelchair, not being able to communicate. They had no idea what his limitations were going to be. His right eye was swollen. He might not be able to see out of that eye. It might be permanently damaged, but it wasn't. And, but there came a point where I realized that it might be cruel for him to live. And I went to the temple in the hospital, and I got down on my knees. And at first you try the bargaining, take me instead of him. It's completely illogical. But then I said out loud, in that temple with nobody else in there, and threw myself down and told him, my Father, my Creator, to take my son and take care of him until I could see him again. If he could not give him back to me the way he deserved to be whole, he was bright. He was an excelled program. He was gifted and talented. I didn't want him trapped in a body where he couldn't communicate and he couldn't function. So I asked God to take my child. Because he didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve a life of limitations. Having been perfectly healthy before, he would have known what he was missing. And then, long story short, 3 months later, when we're finally home, well, actually, we were in the hospital for 2.5 months to 3 months. And then 3 months after that, probably 6 months, my son said that he needed to tell me something, and he was afraid to tell me when we were home. And I said, baby, you can tell me anything. And he told me about his near-death experience, and he told me everything he saw. And at the very end, and I can get into that one day if y'all would like, because when he told me the story, I visualized everything in my head that he was saying. So I remember things in pictures. There are animals in heaven, by the way. But he told me everything he saw, but at the end he said, Mama, I'm sorry. I didn't want to come back. And I said, that's okay, baby. I wouldn't have wanted to come back either. But the last thing they said to him, this person, this spirit, this angel, this guide, there was no name, and they talked to him without speaking, like telepathy. The last thing that this spirit said to him when he brought him back to the hospital room, and my son could see me sitting by the bed and crying, but I couldn't hear him. He said to him, you will live. And then he went back into his body, and everything went black until he woke up. It is this nightmare that turned out to be a gift in a very strange way, because it is the thing that I hang on to no matter what I'm going through. This gift that God gave me through my child to tell me I am here, I am listening. And it means everything. It doesn't mean that I will understand his decisions all the time. It doesn't mean that I will like what is decided in my life all the time. I have lost people. But it means that he exists, and he is listening. And he knows far more than I will ever know. And he's got my back. And even though this world seems very lonely, and I can't touch him, and I can't physically get that hug that sometimes I need, I close my eyes and I breathe. And I remember that he walked with my child, and he comforted him, and he let him see things that we all need to know and have faith that is there. But as adults, We have to stay on track. Children get a free pass. But as adults, we need to stay on track. And we don't need to let this world take what makes us the best humans possible away from us. Don't let them steal your compassion. Don't let them steal your logic. Don't let them steal your faith. Don't let them steal your will to go on as a daughter or son of your Creator. We're here to learn lessons, and the lessons are hard. I'm a teacher, but I'm a student. I was a teacher for years, but mainly I'm a student. And I'm here to learn. I'm here to learn so I can be better. And I don't have to do some of this over and over again. I don't have to keep making the same mistakes. I can have a better understanding of people and why they do what they do. If we were raised from a spiritual perspective from day one, we'd be able to handle life a lot better, and life would be a lot kinder. And we would handle death a lot better. But we're not. We're raised in a materialistic world. So we are like babies when it comes to handling the spiritual aspect of things. We're infants. There's more out there that has been kept from us and taken from us to keep us dumb spiritually. And now they're keeping us dumb educationally. It's all a part of it. Don't let them take it away from you. Your soul means too much. And we need all the good souls we possibly can have. So don't give up. Remember, it's real. An 8-year-old little boy saw it, experienced it, and spoke of it. It's real. Have faith in that, and have faith in yourself as a daughter or son of your Creator. Love to you all. Bye for now.